All right, this is going to sound really strange. All I'm asking is that you stick with me for a moment, and then at the end of the segment, tell me whether you think I might be onto something here. There is new reporting that says Donald Trump may be the one person in the United States currently receiving an experimental drug. Now, everybody hold on. How could this possibly be right? I am very hesitant on any of these theories, but I'll give you the information we have and then we'll try to figure it out together. We have learned that one person in the United States has been given access to a drug called retatrutide. That's the name of the drug. And we know that it was a man who was 79 years old in April. That's when the application was submitted to the FDA. Trump was 79 years old in April. Fine. The application was overseen by a senior doctor at NIH, and ultimately it was approved by the FDA. Now, what's interesting is that three sources went to Stat News with information about this. Stat News is like a health and medicine website. And this is a very interesting drug. Reportedly, it can give people weight loss capability equal to what you get when you have bariatric surgery, except without surgery. It's just a medication that's injected once a week. And so what we know is that this 79-year-old man was given the drug under compassionate use. Now, normally compassionate use means this is someone who has a serious, immediately life-threatening condition. We've tried everything else. We're going to take a chance on an experimental treatment for them. Now, this already raised some serious questions. If the 79-year-old man were to be Trump, what would that mean about his health? But let's come back to that because there's a bunch of additional information. The drug is being looked at for a number of conditions: obesity, type 2 diabetes, knee pain, sleep apnea, low back pain, liver disease. A whole bunch of conditions are being considered with this drug. But what we've learned is that the 79-year-old patient wanted the drug for refractory obesity with obstructive sleep apnea and pulmonary hypertension. Now, let me lay out some possibilities here. Let's imagine for a moment that we suspect the 79-year-old is Donald Trump. What do we know about Trump? He's been interested in weight loss drugs for a while. He talks about GLP-1s all the time. He calls it the fat shot. He talks about his friends are on the drug. So we know that that's a topic of interest for him. Number two, Trump is obese. Number three, Trump falls asleep in public all the time, which can be a symptom of sleep apnea. We don't know that. The White House certainly has not said Donald Trump has sleep apnea, but they hide things about Trump's health all the time. And it's certainly been speculated that, obese guy falling asleep in public all the time, you would certainly consider sleep apnea. Excuse me just one second. If you're a regular viewer and somehow still haven't subscribed, maybe today's the day. We're getting really close to 4 million subscribers. I would love for you to be one of the 4 million. Back to the clip. Now, the White House was asked, is Trump the patient who got the drug with this special approval? And they said, it's not Trump. If you believe White House denials, then it's case closed. If you are skeptical about White House denials, particularly when it comes to Trump's health, well, we know that Trump has a history of seeking out rare medical treatments for himself and his allies. Remember that when Trump had COVID during his first term, he was approved for the experimental use of Regeneron, and it was also termed a compassionate use case. Trump pulled strings to get the late Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoonist, access to a new drug to treat aggressive prostate cancer. He sort of got involved in that. And he also, we don't know the full details of this, but he ordered up some kind of really rare is the right word, heart surgery for Congressman Mike Dunn after a terminal diagnosis, and even bragged about it. So we know Trump gets involved in some of this stuff. So here's where I'm at. If the patient is not Donald Trump, why was a 79-year-old man given extraordinary access to an experimental drug for obesity and sleep apnea using this pathway of compassionate use that's usually for severe or life-threatening conditions? That's an interesting question if it's not Donald Trump. Now, if the patient is Trump, there are only a couple of possibilities here. Either the compassionate use application accurately reflects that Donald Trump's medical condition is very serious, or they lied. They might have lied about Trump's medical condition to try to get the drug because Trump is politically connected. It's an understatement. He's sort of like the most powerful person in the country. Now, think about the double standard. Republicans spent years demanding that Joe Biden release more health information and do cognitive testing and put out medical records and get evaluations from specialists. When questions surface about Trump, all of a sudden they go, oh, it's private. How dare you even ask about that? So I don't think we need to jump to any conspiracy theory. We don't need to assume Trump is secretly critically ill. He might be, but we don't need to assume that. But we should not blindly accept the assurances from the White House that lies all the time about Trump's health, that the 79-year-old, the formerly 79-year-old patient here is not Donald Trump. I think the bigger story is our wealthy and politically connected people operating under a completely different set of rules when it comes to getting medical treatments. And it seems that the answer is yes. If this drug is safe enough for a sitting president to take, why isn't it available to everybody? And if it's risky enough that ordinary Americans shouldn't be getting it, why would Trump be getting it outside of the approved channels? So let me know what you think. I want to hear from you about it. Now, on the bonus show today, we will talk about that Senate vote to limit Trump's Iran war powers. We'll talk about how only a quarter of Americans believe that we defeated Iran in the war. Oh, boy. And we will talk about Zohran Mamdani emerging as a kingmaker in New York City Democratic politics. All of those stories and more on today's bonus show. Sign up at joinpakman.com. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.